Hello everyone and welcome back to Eve Market, your weekly look at the amarr market. We're just gonna start straight off with the look at the prices at the minerals. We're at titanium. Sitting at 3 months. Let's go to a month chart. There we go. Titanium was pretty high last week. Sitting around sitting just below the 6 is per unit was last week's price. It seems to be slightly dropping. A little bit of a higher price here on the looks like Wednesday. It was above the 6 is per unit. Very high price. As you see, last week it was sitting around the 6. We dropped a bit on price, went up again, and we seem to be dropping again. We're sitting just below the 6 is per unit. Looks like it's starting to stabilize a little bit more now. Maybe it's soon gonna drop the price. I don't know what it's gonna do. It's really suddenly all going up on price. I have accounts traveling again, as you hear. Seller's price for titanium is in at 5.96, just below the 6 is per unit. For the buyers in at 5.79. Like I said last week, we're sitting just below the 6 is per unit. Last week's price was 5.98, so we have a small drop, at least in the price of titanium. And let's get this account whopping again, and the other one is jumping. Great. Alright, then we go on for ferrite. I'll put my accounts on the move again. Ferrite is looks like pretty stable. It did make a little bit of a drop in the beginning of the week, then it recovered again, pretty much on almost to a normal price. Yesterday we're sitting a little bit lower, and today we're sitting slightly lower. So it looks like ferrite is probably slightly starting to drop in price. It is now and then trying to drop, and then it recovers again. So ferrite is trying to drop in price, but it's not really working at the moment. So maybe later on this week we're gonna see a slight drop in the price of ferrite. Seller's price is 11.25, buyer's price 11.24. That's basically no margin at all, but oh well. It's probably he probably sold a load on the market, and that order got fulfilled, and this got dropped on the market. Last week's price of ferrite was lower, so the price did went up this week. Was 10.91 for the buyer's price. So clearly ferrite went up in price, and was even higher because of this. Was even 11.25. So ferrite went clearly up in price this week. Then Maxilon. Let's see if this one's still going up. It is not going up anymore. Last week we were sitting really in a high price. It was a record price for this year. We're now starting to drop again for the price. Dropped pretty rapidly. We've gone from 60, dropping towards 65, even below 65. While we see now the 5-day average starting to slightly go up again. I'm not sure if this is gonna keep up. It's gonna keep on going up. Maybe stabilizing, but more like you have an idea it's probably starting to drop again, because titanium has started dropping up. Ferrite hasn't dropped yet. Maxilon I expect to start dropping pretty soon on price. It is just high. Seller's price 63.99. So just below the 63. This is pretty low set order. Buyer's price 63.04. I make that an 05. Was my own order. 63.05 for the buyers. Clearly they dropped a lot compared to last week's price. That was 68.06. So clearly a nice drop on that price. But it's, yeah, I think it will go up. Will go down a little bit more pretty soon. But it's a bit hard to say if it's gonna do that. Then oxygen. I'm not gonna skip this one this week. Oxygen still very stable on price. Not really any movement here. looks like it's starting to slightly drop. If I look at the daily price, this looks like it's very small drop. You see also for you on the Sunday, between Saturday and Sunday, the 5-day average slightly dropping. So it looks like iodine is really, it's stable pretty much, but there seems to be started to come a slight drop in the price. Seller's price 190.79, buyer's price 114.05. Clearly a lot lower than last week. 118.66 was last week's price. So clearly that has dropped. Now Noxium, let's see what this one is doing. Noxium did make a pretty low price right here, with sitting around almost 450. Looks like this was definitely the lowest price we got this week. Last week we were always sitting at the end of the week at pretty low, on the lowest price here. You see now clearly Noxium hit its bottom price and started to go up again. You see there was already a huge spike here above the 480, even 482, 483 around here. It dropped again back to around the 460. But you can clearly see Noxium is starting to go up in price. So want to buy Noxium cheap? Buy it now. 474.95 for the sellers and 460.77 for the buyers. It's clearly a high price than last week, was that was 454.03. So went at least 6 to 7 ish per unit up in price already. I took even advantage of it because I bought in like 15 million units. Then we go on for Zynerit. Zynerit is made a small drop this week. It's not a huge amount. Now and then its lowest point is almost 1100 of 1100. Yeah, 1100 per unit. That was the lowest. It's starting to go a little bit up again. It seems Zynerit is pretty stable, staying between the 11 and 1200 per unit. 1104.01 for the sellers, 1104 for the buyers. That is lower than last week. 1146.88 was last week's price. So Zynerit has dropped a little bit in price this week. Megasite. Megasite clearly still on the drop in price. Last week was sitting around in the middle of here on the price. It's probably this one. And clearly this whole week Megasite has been dropping in price. It's been low high a bit. It's sitting between the 1350 and 1450 price. You see clearly here for the last 3 days now is dropping below the 1400 per unit, and this seems to be more like getting towards this. It looks like the Sunday price is a little bit higher, while the day price is a little bit lower still. But then again, it's still the Sunday. We're sitting like not only a quarter of about maybe 1/8 even of it's been sold per day. So Megasite clearly seems to be starting to drop in price. Seller's price 1368.43, buyer's price 1367.42. That is clearly lower than last week. 1425.16 was last week's price. So it clearly has made a drop in it. Then we go for Morphite, the last mineral. And wow, Morphite made a huge drop here this week. I was sitting around to 12,000 per unit, and it suddenly makes a huge dive down here. It's almost 10,000. That's a 2,000 difference. And then next day it went up against to 11,500. That's 1,500 up. So it looks like Morphite I found a lower price where it's gonna hang between, because at first it was hanging between 13,000 and the 12,000. It seems to be now going more sitting between the price of 11,500 and 10,000. It looks like it's starting to stabilize between this price. The 10,000 is really low. So you see normally there's about 1,000 difference, so 11 and 10.5 should be more of a normal place, but it seems to be now sitting, at least for the last 3 days, sitting more around just below the 11,500. So Morphi did take a drop in price for about, in the region where it needs to be sitting with about 1,000 to about 1,000 to 1,500 change for the price of Morphi, where it's sitting in between. Seller's price 11,888.80 and the buyer's price 11,092.05. That's clearly a pretty big drop compared to last week's price, because that was 11,719. That's clearly a drop of Morphi. Then we go take a quick look at some regular salvage from the amarr region. That's armor plates. Armor plates not really doing a huge amount, pretty much staying around the same price, around the 96,000. With now then a little bit of a lower price, just above the 94,000 per unit. Currently pretty stable armor plates, and not really moving a lot, but it's clearly staying around the 96 and the 94,000 between those two prices. Then we go seller's price. We need more than 500 units. It's 97,990. I'll round this up for a bit. And buyer's price, that's only 6 units. That's going to be filled up pretty quick. But these are the same I see. 94,318 for the buyer's price. That's lower than last week, because that was 96,000 flat. So clearly that went a little bit lower. Then we go on for burn logic circuits. Burn logic circuits were pretty stable this whole week, with a slight increase in price above the 55,000 per unit. And then suddenly here for the Saturday, and this is the Sunday. Sunday's way too early, but the Saturday there was also a huge spike here on sales for burn logic circuits. They increased suddenly in price above the 60,000 is per unit. It looks like more like 63 and a half per unit. That's a pretty high price suddenly for burn logic circuits. The reason about this, I have no idea why this suddenly spiked. Someone probably need a whole load. Seller's price is 73,998. Buyer's price is still pretty low, is 57,282.13. Still higher than last week's, because that was 57,000 flat on that price. I'm sitting about 282 higher now. Fried interface circuits, also slight increase in price compared to last week. Last week we were sitting around 4,800, maybe a little bit lower. But then looks like it's pretty early in this week already starting to increase a little bit in price to about 4,830, 40 maybe. So it's not a huge increase, but it's slightly increasing price, but staying pretty much this whole week on that price. And it doesn't seem to be really doing a lot. Next week for this, maybe a little bit more increase, or maybe even a drop in this price again. Prices 4,800. Well, we round up to 900 for this. 4,000 units, nice amount. And then buyer's price in 4,840. Like I said in the graph, pretty good guess on the price. Last week's price was 4,801. So that's a slight increase in the price of this. The melted capacitor consoles still pretty high in price, but it looks like they're more like gonna stay around the 8,000 per unit. We had even a spike yesterday towards the 8,500. We just didn't reach it. We see even a slight drop here on the Friday towards the 7,500 surprisingly. Today we're sitting also a little bit lower, but early day still. But definitely we're seeing melted capacitor console a little bit moving again after pretty much staying around the same price for a few, like 1.5 weeks. Seems to be a slight movement in here again. About 8,000, no, take the right, 8,500 for the seller's price. For the buyer's price, 7,525. That is a drop in price compared to last week's price. Last week's price was 7,940. So we clearly see that melted capacitor console starting to a little bit a drop in price. Trip power circuits. These are still going up in price. Pretty stable uptrend in the price. We've seen here for 3 days sitting around the same price. That was the Saturday, Friday and Thursday, sitting at 31,000 per unit. But for today we're sitting already high, suddenly a lot high, above the 31,500 per unit. But clearly trip power circuits still going up in price. They just came back from a pretty high price, dropped again, or maybe even a pretty low price now. Now it was a pretty high price, we made a drop again. Now we're starting to pretty much get into the same trend up that was here before. So I'm expecting this trip power circuits to keep going up in price for the next week. 33,975 for the seller's price and 31,014 for the buyer's price. Higher than last week was 30,801. Then the last one for this week is Plex. You know, here there was the huge drop of Plex because of the discount on Plex. But you can clearly see Plex is recovering again on price. Just going back up towards the 1.2 billion iscales, yeah. Did hit that yesterday, the Saturday. Today is slightly lower, but still clearly above the 1.2 billion is for Plex. What is really high. I don't think it's gonna recover from this. You may gonna see a drop again if the winter is gonna end. You never know. It's me. I expect then more like beginning, like next year we're gonna see a drop in Plex again when the temperature is going up here in Europe. Seller's price for the Plex 1,239,000,000. Buyer's price, let's read a lot of ones in this. Also about 1.2, just above 1.2 billion is for a Plex. It did indeed went up again because it was 1,163,000,000 last week. Yeah, it went up. I need to even look very well. So clearly, this is even a new record price of Plex. I see. Plex went that high. This is a new record price for Plex this year. So yeah, clearly Plex is pretty high again. Even after this drop here, it's now going back up again. It has now a record price on the buyer's price for this year. So if you have anything you want to see in this video from the amarr market, please let me know down in the comments. It needs to be something that's really useful also to others, not only to you. But if it's something you want to follow for you only, I'm gonna follow it for 4 weeks in a row, then I will remove it again out of the list. Because I don't want to make this video more than 30 minutes. It's the maximum length of the video I want to make for the market. So thanks for watching. I'll see you all next week again. And you're gonna look at the amarr market. Fly safe.